part of this sort of conversation that I really wanted to have is to talk a little bit about anxiety. I was wondering if you would mind sharing with us about the role anxiety played in Zen's life and his struggle.
If you're talking about anxiety on its own, in a normal situation, anxiety, there's nothing wrong with anxiety. Let's say, for example, feeling nervous before an exam, but you're able to cope and it makes you prepare better so that you do better. Whereas on the other end of the spectrum, we have what you call the anxiety disorder. It can incapacitate you. And a lot of times, anxiety disorder there's so much misconception. People might think, wow, it's visible, that person has cold sweat or looks really nervous. Not necessary. Yes, many times it is triggered by a situation, but it's also becoming very prevalent now that it is also part of a genetic predisposition or chemical imbalance. In the case of my son Zen, there is this genetic predisposition in my family, which I only found out after his passing. For him, he comes from a very loving and intact family. Unlike many people think, children who come from dysfunctional families or broken families are the ones struggling. But Zen, no, because of the genetic predisposition, all it needed was a situational trigger that triggers the genes, When he went from independent school to a public junior college, it was a bit of a struggle, but a positive struggle, I would say. But he actually adjusted very well for 3 terms. He was very outspoken, very sociable, and he looked generally very happy. But it was in the 3rd term, he broke up with his girlfriend at that time because of a friendship betrayal. So that really plunges him into this withdrawn state of mind, and he got really, really short-tempered. And I started to notice that he started to cut himself, self-harm. Initially, I just thought it was all part and parcel of, a teenager growing up. Boy-girl relationship is very normal, you'll grow out of it. But I noticed that the cuts were just getting worse and worse. So eventually, my husband and I spoke with him, and he could not give us an answer. We didn't know better, at that time. We kind of left it as it is, but it just got worse. He skipped lectures. Eventually, he just didn't want to go to school. We gave him the alternative to go to complete his pre-university in Melbourne, and he said yes, he would like to give it a try. We sent him there. He was very well adjusted, very happy boy, you never think that he was still struggling. But each time we still noticed that he still has the self-harm, still has the cuts. And each time we asked him, and he said, I don't know, Mom, I don't know. And he looked really exasperated. But by the 3rd term in Melbourne, we got calls from his friends who says, Auntie, I think something is just not right with Zen. He's just locking himself up in the room. I think you have to fly up. So I flew up immediately. I spoke with him. I said, I think Mom knows that you're still struggling. We need to get you professional help. I don't blame you. I love you unconditionally. I will get you the help, and I'll be with you every step of the way. And he said, thank you, Mom. And he told his friends that he's so happy that his parents are going to get him help. We brought him to see another psychiatrist. Within 30 minutes, Zen was diagnosed with GAD, Generalized Anxiety Disorder.
You mentioned that anxiety, even suicide, there's an invisibility to it. And yet, after Zen's passing, you've managed to have different conversations with maybe Zen's friends who felt like you were someone they could speak to, and you were somebody who they felt safe to talk to.
Many of his friends have actually come forward and shared with me their own struggles with anxiety. And they say, Auntie, we don't know what causes it. There is no necessary trigger. We can be very happy, and we can even be with friends and laughing and everything, but in the back of our mind, we have that anxiety, and it's not visible. So for many of those who are struggling, what is really scary is they don't know what causes it. And if you don't treat it, it can easily become a depression. And sadly, many have died by suicide because they just want to end that pain. that pain of don't know what causes it.
What is maybe one change you'd like to see in the community around you?
Yeah, it's a reality in our society, not only in Singapore, but I say generally in Asia. It is our culture. Talking about depression or any form of mental illness and suicide is a stigma and a taboo. Especially with the older generation, there's so much denial. Choi, don't talk about it. For youth, right, they find it very hard to open up. They will find it hard to open up to their parents. When they open up, when they want to talk about it, it's very important that we don't be so quick to try to rationalize how they're feeling. And what they want you to do is give them a listening ear, validate their pain. Don't tell them what to do and what not to do. Oh, maybe you should avoid this trigger. You should avoid that trigger. This is not what they want. They just want you to hear them and just empathize with their pain. And then subsequently, direct them to a trusted adult or a professional and advise them to seek help. We all need to be empathetic as a society. And this is also part of my advocacy, with the PleaseStay movement. We need to have conversation. Yes, no doubt, responsible conversation. And let's all not say, oh, we should not talk about depression, suicide, because it is sensitive. It is a form of illness. We can talk about cancer and we get so much sympathy, but we cannot talk about mental illness and it has to be harsh. It's like, no, don't talk about that. I think we need to wake up as a society. Let's bring down the wall with regards to mental illness. We need to break the stigma. We need to break the taboo so that for those who are struggling, they will be able to open up easily to seek help. We mothers at PleaseStay movement, we come with lived experience and we stand ready to engage in any conversation to share the experience that we have. Suicide prevention can happen. It is preventable. It was not easy, but I have decided to turn my pain and grief to doing something meaningful, and that is by honoring the love that I have for him, setting up the Zen Dylan Koh Fund, which actually helps disadvantaged youth with free counseling. Since we started the fund in January of 2019, Zen has helped 21 youths, and some of whom have been stopped from completing suicide by the caseworkers. It's my way of continuing to love him and honor my love for him by helping him save lives, rather than find myself in a pit of despair, So I'd rather do something positive, because I hope that when I see Zen again, he will say, thank you, Mom. Thank you. I'm proud of you for doing this for me.